Remember when I used to be at primary school years ago, the start of a new term, and you might get new stuff like a new exercise book, and all the paper was white like snow with the little blue lines on. And then you get things like new pencils, or even the colourful new crayons. The bright colours, somehow the crayons seem brighter, and the little pointy end had never been used. It's an exciting time, new crayons. But then stuff happens, doesn't it? And the crayons get broken and the paper peels off, and the newness is kind of lost. We're just left with some broken crayons. Our life moves through various stages: our toddler years, early school days, adolescence, maybe college years, and then there's a pressure to be a well-adjusted adult. And each season begins with new stuff, and it feels like there's new possibilities. But then the crayons start breaking, and it's often people of influence saying negative things, speaking bad about our life, that break our crayons. I remember one day when I was a little kid, and a new boy joined our little gang, and he was from the posh neighbourhood. I remember one day he looked at me and said, "You're really poor, aren't you?" And it felt really humiliating, and it was like a crayon snapping. Another guy told me I'd never own a car or own a house. When I started following Jesus, I remember someone told me I could never be in ministry. Another guy came to see me after I'd started travelling abroad, told me I could never have an international ministry. When I started writing, someone told me I'd never publish a book. Someone else told me I could never build a school in Africa. And each of these negative comments was quite hurtful. They were like the new crayons being snapped. But we really need to be careful who we're listening to, because there'll always be a donkey telling a racehorse how to run faster. But when we start listening to Jesus, things begin to change for the better. I mean, one day 5,000 people turned up, needed feeding. And the only one there that had any food was a little kid with some fish sandwiches. And of course that just wasn't up to meeting the need of 5,000 people. But that little kid gave his fish sandwiches to Jesus, and in the hands of Jesus, it did feed 5,000 people. And when we put ourselves into the hands of Jesus, great things can happen. St. Paul discovered the same thing. He wrote to his friends, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." He also said, if anyone is in Christ, they're a new creation. Now, it's true that some of our brokenness can be down to poor decisions that we made in the past. But even if that's the case, Jesus affirms us. "I do not condemn you," he says, and he doesn't. And if you've watched my video on grief, you know that life itself broke a lot of my crayons. We spend time wondering if we believe in God, but actually what we need to know is that God believes in us. Yes, you heard me right. God believes in you. And what about all those negative statements I told you I received before? Well, everything I was told I couldn't do, I've actually done. I've written 25 books. I do have an international ministry, started a charity, built a school in Africa, which is now one of the top performing schools in the country. So every negative statement that people said, "Oh, you can't do this, you'll never be that," and the things that hurt, they've all been proved wrong. Because as a young man, I started following the teachings of Jesus. Now, I didn't do all these things alone. I did have help from other people. But those people too have bits of brokenness in their life. If I'm honest, I don't think I've met anyone with all the dots on the dice. But here's the good news today, my friend. You may be broken, and all your crayons, your metaphorical crayons, may be broken. But listen to this. Here's the good news. Broken crayons can still colour.